Hi everybody, and welcome to Josiah is Right. I am joined by Primrose today. Can you say hi? Can you say hi to everybody? Say hi. There you go. Good job, Prim. So Primrose and I are going to show you an awesome toy haul that we got. So thanks to my friend Paul, right? So apparently he had a neighbor that abandoned all this stuff. And it's been in storage for 3 years, something like that. So unfortunately, someone doesn't have this stuff anymore, but I do. I feel strangely bad about it. I have to admit that, because who knows what happened to this person. Paul doesn't know, but it is in good hands and it will be loved and part of our family, like my children, right? You're part of the family. You see? So what it is, it's mostly a lot of Playmates Simpsons toys. Now it's really cool because I was not a collector kind of at that time, so I didn't collect the Playmates Simpsons at the time. It just was kind of late 90s, early 2000s, I think that was when that was happening. And I just didn't collect, but I always would see them like at Suncoast and Media Play, those stores that are long gone. Suncoast in particular, I remember at Ross Park Mall near Pittsburgh, that was where I would see a lot of these cool toys. So I'd always kind of be interested, but I just wasn't really a collector. A few things I bought in that era, but for the most part, not. But so let's take a look at what we got here. It is something like you see here. These are the big sets that I turned them sideways, unfortunately. The big sets here, and then down on the ground, I have a stack of figures. Some of them are up here on this side of Prim and me. And I think it's like 28 figures of Simpsons, plus a few other things, like some McFarlane stuff, and some Dark Horse things. So we'll just start by showing you some of this random stuff. Won't maybe go through every single thing, but maybe we will. So we got some Powerpuff Girls. You like that? Who's that? That is Bubbles. Buttercup? Buttercup. I think that's Buttercup. You like it? So that's the first one. And these are, again, from the original run of this show. So like the late 90s. Like 2000. These ones are totally like for my wife in this collection. But unfortunately, they don't have Bubbles, the blonde one, which is Judy's favorite. So that's the downside. It's ironic and sad that they don't have. You can put it over there? Okay. So then let's take a look before we get to the... and this was all very dusty. I cleaned it off with a rag and it was just gross. But it's pretty clean now. I just wiped everything down. It's still not totally clean, so probably shouldn't let a 16-month-old baby handle it. But anyway, so here is some Tim Burton's Tragic Toys. Some of these are pretty creepy. Some of them are very nightmare stylish, but some are very creepy. And here's some more of those guys. The Pincushion Queen, for example. There, but you can see some very, like, clearly Nightmare Before Christmas type stuff. I'm not familiar with what this is, I'll be honest, at all. So we'll find out. You want down? So Prim wants down. Don't you want to touch the tripod? That's filming with a child. No touching the tripod. You want back up? You want that? Behind me first. So we have the Croft Superstars series, Sid and Marty Croft, which is something that is a little before my time. So this is kind of not so meaningful to me. I'm familiar with them and know what they are, but didn't watch it, wasn't the right age. So Sigmund the Sea Monster, there you go. Little, this is the only one that's like, they were all really dusty. Everything, I wiped everything down with a rag and everything was filthy. Like, just, it was abandoned for a long time in a box that was open, even though it was in a box. And this guy is the only one that you can see that there's like the yellowing, the discoloration on this one. Everything else is pretty clean. There's some bending and chip, like, you know, the damage to the packaging, but nothing severe and other stuff. But this is the only one where you have that smoky yellowing of the plastic, which I guess unfortunate that it's something that's I'm less interested in and care about less. I mean, it's a cool toy and it's cool to have, but if anything's going to be like that, I'd rather it be that. Then we have an awesome Captain Hook from Mattel, a nice big Barbie doll style doll here of Captain Hook. And again, this was just covered in dust, like completely, like, I mean, dust to the point that it became dirt as all this stuff. The Captain Hook one is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Peter Pan other than the racist stuff. And here we have a favorite of the non-Simpsons is the Charlie Brown, the Peanuts set, the Great Pumpkin. We have a nativity scene that is from like the play that they did. So that's our nativity that we use. It's similar action figures to this. These are a bit older, I think. This is 2003. So again, everything's from that same era. So older collectibles. And these are a little bit bigger, I think, than the ones we have. So you have Lucy? Sally, right? Sally. Gosh. Sally, yes. Oh, man. Lucy. Sally, Charlie, and Pigpen, and then like some pumpkins and stuff. So cool, we'll have some Halloween decorations. We don't have much. We have a few things. Most of our Halloween decorations are Disneyland related thing. So nice to have something other than that. Then we have the Beatles, Yellow Submarine, Ringo, and the Blue Meanie. And I actually had, many years ago, Ringo and Paul. And ironically from Paul. I don't have Paul in this collection. So it's cool to have one of them back. I sold them or something, or just, I think I sold them a long time ago. So it was when Judy and I first got married. So I sold a lot of stuff at that time. I bought a lot of other stuff, so. But this is a cool one to sort of have back in the collection. The Yellow Submarine, which I've never actually seen. So definitely familiar with the music. And then, almost through with the non-Simpsons stuff, we have some McFarlane toys too. We have Bob and Doug McKenzie, and the cool thing is the guy's name, the non-Rick Moranis guy, Dave Thomas. I worked on a project many years ago, right before I got married and right at the beginning of our marriage, and I was producing voiceover for stuff, and I was producing a big web project. It's the project that got me in the Producers Guild. And put Rick Moranis down for a second. And Dave Thomas, is that his name? I think Dave Thomas is his name. Should have looked it up before this. But he ran the studio that we were taking over the project from. So like, for some reason, they didn't handle it the way the client that hired us wanted to, or something, I don't know. So it was a weird thing where I was booking the studio space in their studio because it had been paid for by our client. So even though they were moving on from doing the overall project with them, we were still using their studio to do auditions for voiceover stuff. So, and I was handling that at the time, and that's like I wasn't yet the producer on that project, but that I was an assistant that became an associate producer that became a producer on that project. And so I met him there, and he was super sweet. And I didn't realize, in retrospect, it was probably more of an awkward situation, but he was cool. Either he wasn't aware of it, or he didn't let us realize the awkwardness of it. We really didn't deal with many people there other than the sort of secretary type people that would let us in the door. But I did meet him, and he was nice and kind of jokey in a friendly way, and just kind of like, you know, he just was like running the show in that way, like functionally wasn't doing much. At the time they were doing like animated stuff with these two characters. So look it up, it's somewhere out there. It's good stuff. So, but the stuff we did was better. The stuff we did was very different. It was a toy line for little girls. So not onto the Simpsons. One last thing that's non-Simpsons. So I'll move some of this down out of the way. So the last non-Simpsons thing is Austin Powers. And here we have Dr. Evil and Mini-Me. And I have my Mini-Me right here, right? And that is the non-Simpsons stuff and a couple of the Simpsons figures. So just to kind of get through it as the challenge of this one running around. That's that. So that's the last of the non-Simpsons stuff. So we can see all the Simpsons stuff around me, and I'm just going to start showing stuff. We have Grandpa Simpson. We have deep cuts here, like Krusty as a convict, which is cool. And there's so many play sets that they did for this series rather. Like we have some here, like you can see. Dolph, is this one Dolph? Jimbo. I do have Dolph though. Dolph is the one with like the longer hair. So Jimbo here in the arcade, and I love the Larry the Looter and the Nuke Canada, the games, and so and they work too. Okay, I picked one that really doesn't work. It kind of sort of works, but not really. That one. So we have one of my favorites, Homer and the Moo Moo. I don't think I have this one in the Kid Robots, which I would love. We have Sideshow Bob in the studio, and then we have the Halloween, not the Halloween episode, the Bobo episode, where they're like going to the future and trying to get the Bobo all those years later. So then in the Smithers and the Bear, when he was trying to like be Bobo for Mr. Burns. Here we have Comic Book Guy, and I think this one works. Let me see. totally broken. I gotta find one that works. A couple of them work.
Hear ye, what's for breakfast? Go away, eating. Would you kindly pass me a donut? Ooh, you like sweets, kid?
There you go. I wish, does he come with his hat? He does. It's in there. It's not on here, but so this one is, I don't know that I'll open all of them, but I'm gonna open that one. The comic book guy and his comic shop, which doesn't work. We have the Squeaky Voice Teen. I think this one works.
Mr. Wembley, it happened again. You want fries with that?
So Squeaky Voice Teen in the movie theater, which could go great with the arcade. So those are fun sets. We have Jimbo over here again. So let's start to take a look at some of these just kind of quickly. There's the Dolph I talked about with the hair. So we have a couple of boys. I think I have Nelson too. So I have the whole gang. Fat Tony, Mrs. Hoover, which is a clearance, which was $1.50. What a steal on that. The funny thing is, he didn't seem to collect female figures, which I understand. I gravitate towards the toys that reflect what I played with as a kid, and I do have some female toys that I played with even as a kid, like Wonder Woman, etc. But I understand if you didn't. I'm not gonna criticize that. We have Kent Brockman. There's Nelson. So we have the whole gang of bullies. We have Bleeding Gums Murphy. Like again, it's cool because these figures came out at the end of the best era of The Simpsons. I haven't watched it in a very, very, very long time, but these figures all reflect when I loved the show. And I still love it. And if I watch it, I watch the old stuff, thanks to Disney Plus now, in the right aspect ratio. So we have Milhouse, a lot of the kids. Our second grandpa, which, let's set that aside. Oh, that fell. That was what was happening earlier with Prim. Lenny. Let me try to stack these somewhat. Homer, of course, gotta have Homer, not just obese Homer with the moo-moo. Groundskeeper Willie. And Ralph Wiggum. I think I have a Chief Wiggum too. And Otto. And Mo the bartender. Cletus and Carl. So we could do a pretty good... Too bad we don't have a Moe's diorama. That'd be fun. One of my favorite characters of all time in anything ever, Disco Stew. But Disco Stew doesn't advertise. Remember that. And of course, Flanders and Mr. Burns. Super Nintendo Chalmers right here. Bart, gotta have Bart. Those are the only Simpsons. No Lisa, no Maggie, no Marge. Professor Frank. Hans Moleman, or Mole Man. This is another one of the duplicates, so we set him aside. And last, but not least, Chief Wiggum. So I have the Wiggum men in the family. I don't know that they ever made Sarah Wiggum, I think was the mom's name. So that is an awesome haul of toys from Paul. So, for you guys watching this, I'm going to do you a favor. I don't know. If you want one of these toys, subscribe to my channel and comment on this post which one you would prefer. You're going to get one. Well, you're not going to guarantee to get one. You're only eligible to win one. I'm going to give these to two people. So somebody's going to get a Grandpa Simpson, and somebody's going to get Hans Moleman, who comes with a football. That's hilarious. That, man getting hit in groin by football. Or man getting hit by football is what I call it. George C. Scott won the Oscar for that, right? So all the Simpsons references are going through my head a million miles an hour right now. So, does this have the article about, man yells at cloud kind of thing? So anyway... What you can do is you can win one of these two action figures. You can win Grandpa Simpson or you can win Mole Man. The two elderly guys. Is he elderly or is he just out of touch with reality? I don't know. But subscribe to my channel and comment on this post which one you would like, and I will randomly pick a winner for each. So you only pick one. That's my only caveat. I don't have a lot of people who watch this channel. So this is, I say this is my desperate ploy for a couple of subscribers. But if two people do it, two people get action figures. And if only one person does it, and after So I'm going to post this in mid to late March. I'll give it until mid to late February. I'll give it until the end of March. So by the end of March, however many people, you could potentially win both. If only one person does this, you'll win both. All you have to do is be subscribed and comment. So thank you so much for watching. That's a cool collection. Thank you, Paul. This video was a little bit more chaotic, and I thought about reshooting it, but I want to share Prim on camera because she doesn't get as much camera time as Penny. Penny is out for a walk with Judy, her mom. So Prim and I get to hang out together for a little bit. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time with more toys, comic book related content, other stuff. What kind of content do you want to see? Okay, fair enough. We'll see more of that on Josiah is Right. Bye. Say bye.
Daddy.
Yeah, Daddy.
Oh,